So now here with another demo that is House Academy. The full game is supposed to come out on March of next year. I don't know if it's gonna be or not. The game is developed by KK Studio and developed and published. So this is a visual novel, of course, but I think at the same time like detective or something like that, because it's like this academy, Rose Academy, but like someone dies or something like that. So let us see. The cityscape had long given way to endless forest outside the window, but I was so lost in thought that I noticed nothing around me. The driver was saying something about the beautiful view and the unusual warm September weather, but these words dissolved into the air, never reaching my mind. Usually I'm attentive to details, not seeing any small things or miss an inevitable professional deformation of a special agent, but that day it felt like even if a red van drove into me, I wouldn't notice it. It was good that I was just a passenger that day and could afford to get lost in memories of what had happened in the morning. Oh my god, a newspaper. And a phone? A morning phone call interrupted my morning magic, which consisted of a cup of espresso and reading the news. I rarely break my own rules, never answering unknown numbers, especially during vacation. But this time, something was different. A premonition told me this call wasn't random. The phone continued to vibrate instantly. I reached out and, after a second's hesitation, answered the call. Hello? James? The girl's voice sounded vaguely familiar, but I couldn't recall where I heard it before. Who is this? Perhaps you don't remember me. It's been many years. It's Nika. We were at same summer camp together, Bears Cliff. Do you remember? Her name triggered a wave of long-forgotten memories, washing the rest of the world out of my head. Nika, my first love. Of course I remember. There are things you don't forget. I remember. It's so unexpected to hear from you. 10 years? Yes, 10. It's hard to believe. So, this year marks the anniversary of our first meeting? The girl's voice sounded cheerful, almost playful. However, I was too surprised to play along. And our last meeting too. Nika, has something happened? For a couple of seconds, silence hung on the line. I could almost see her biting her lower lip, a habit she always had when she was nervous. I wonder if she still has this habit after all these years. You're right, something has happened. I wish the reason for my call was just an anniversary, but there's something more serious. I heard you've become one of the best in your field. How did she know I am a special agent? That's classified information. Despite my curiosity, it's not a question to ask over the phone. Anyway, I need your help, James. What exactly is the matter? Someone hang herself. Do I need to click? I'm the principal of girls' school and one of our students died yesterday. It looked like a suicide, but she had no reason for it. Although it may sound strange, my experience tells me there is something more going on here. Okay, so now we know, huh? Vacation, huh? And now I'm investigating something again. A schoolgirl suicide? That's not even my specialization. Damn it, why did I agree to it? Just because I heard her voice? So many years. And all this time, she had my number. She knew who I was, but she never called after what happened. Well, what really happened? It was a puppy love. What truly connects us besides stories from summer camp? But no matter how hard I tried to convince myself that we had nothing in common, I couldn't forget how 10 years ago I rushed to the post office after returning from camp. With trepidation and a pounding heart, I hoped to find a reply to my letter addressed to Nika. I remember how, week after week, I could never find that letter in a pile of fresh mail. I remember pleading with my parents to visit Nika on the other side of the country to make sure she was okay. I remember my father finding her home phone number and how I dialed it. On the other end of the line, I heard that Nika's family had moved, and the new tenants didn't have their current address or number. The driver's voice pulling me out of my reflections on the past. We have arrived. When the driver stopped the car for a moment, I doubt we had arrived at the correct address. The building visible beyond the gate looked a more luxurious mansion belonging to some European aristocrat than a girls' school. Taking my bag from the trunk and paying the driver, I double-checked the address on my phone. Rose Academy. The address seems correct, so it really is a school. Judging by its location and appearance, the girls here aren't from simple families. As I approached the gate, I automatically noticed the flicker of a miniature sensor hidden within the gate's decorative element. I've seen such hidden facial recognition systems many times before, The only difference was that they were usually in government buildings or at secret headquarters meetings rather than in civilian institutions. Before my finger could press the call button, a mechanical voice came from a hidden speaker. Please state your name and the purpose of your visit. James Crofton. I'm here by personal invitation from the principal. For a couple of seconds, the system went silent, processing the information. My god, it opened. I walked through the gate and they smoothly closed it behind me. There were a few students in identical uniforms standing on the lawn. Noticing me, they immediately began whispering, casting curious glances my way. I pretend not to notice them, but my ears caught every word of their not-so-quiet conversation. Do you see him too, or am I tripping? He's so handsome. I wish he were our new teacher. Then I'll go to all his class, especially the extracurricular ones, if you know what I mean. I assume guests are rare at this school. It's no surprise that a new person on academic grounds become an object of intense scrutiny. And considering it's a girls' school, it seems I'm sparking a special interest among students. The path from the gates to the door seemed like a red carpet. The closer I got to the school, the more curious stares I felt. Groups of schoolgirls of various ages, strolling through the grounds, fell silent at my appearance. They immediately erupted into whispers behind my back. I don't remember ever getting this attention. And that's pleasant. I must admit, I even like it. Feigning interest in the landscape design, I subtly turned toward a lonely senior student. She was standing nearby, her intense gaze fixed on me from the moment I stepped onto the school grounds. Our glances met for a moment, and I managed to notice her head-net eyes. Her fingers nervously fidgeted with the hem of her skirt. Unlike the other students who were looking at me with curiosity, her face expressed tension and some inner anxiety. Catching my gaze, she quickly turned away. What a beautiful girl, and she seems upset about something. Should I ask if she's okay? Hold on, not the time, not for skirts, not for emotions. Investigation, James. I involuntarily shook my head, spelling the intrusive thought. I took a deep breath as if before diving into the water and pushed the heavy front door open. Surprisingly, there were no guards inside the building. Instead of live security, there were small surveillance cameras set up everywhere around you. I looked around trying to figure out where to go next. The lobby branched off into several corridors, none of them marked with a principal's office in. Great, I'm in a school the size of a small palace and there's no one to ask where to go. Guess I'll have to rely on my intuition. I chose the corridor leading to the right of the main entrance. In this wide hallway with high ceilings, I saw the portrait of past graduates and glass display case containing trophies and medals. I even recognized the face of a famous political figure in one of the photographs. With every minute spent here, I became more convinced that this institution was just a school but a forge of the elite. After walking to the end of the corridor and finding nothing resembling the principal's office, I decided to turn the corner. We went against someone. I felt a shove that nearly made me lose my balance. It took me a few seconds to collect myself and realize what had happened. There were textbooks scattered across the floor, and their owner looked up at me with wide, frightened eyes. I'm sorry, I wasn't looking where I was going. I'm so sorry. Are you okay? You didn't hurt yourself? For some reason, simple question made her cheeks flush bright red. No, I'm fine. It's just, I'm very clumsy. My mom used to tell me when I was little that I had 2 left feet. It's always like this with me. The girl adjusted her glass and looked with annoyance at the scattered textbooks. I knelt. Your decision affected the relationship. Oh shit. But do you know if it is for good or for bad? Or if that's only for good, I wonder. I knelt to help the girl gather the spilled books. Oh, you don't have to. I can do it myself. It's no trouble. Are you sure you didn't hurt yourself? No, I'm fine, thank you so much. I picked up the last textbook, the final exam, eliminating the competition, and handed it to the girl. Noticing the title of the book in my hands, she became even more embarrassed and quickly snatched it, carefully avoiding touching my fingers. Since we are bumping into each other, maybe you can tell me how to get to the principal's office? I got lost in these endless corridors. Oh, the principal's office. Of course, I know. It's straight down this corridor and then left. You won't miss it. There's a sign on the door. And thank you again for helping with the books. Her face brightened. It seemed as she was glad she could help in some way. I adjusted my jacket and headed in the indicated direction. Such a prestigious school, I know signs. Thought perhaps it's part of their educational philosophy to foster independence. It's good I managed to ask the girl where Nika's office was, or I'll be wandering around here until evening. Following the direction the girl in glass pointed me in, I found a corridor with a door proudly displaying a sign, Principal Veronica Preston. Oh, so Nika is actually a form of her full name. It seems I know very little about her. 10 years have passed, but I still remember her as the girl from camp. Yet, in that time, she became the principal of an elite school. I paused for a second before the door, gathering my thoughts. Beyond the door was not only information about the mysterious death of a student, but also a meeting with a person from the past who, it seemed, had long been left behind. I took a deep breath and knocked. A muffled "come in" came from behind the door. I turned the door knob and stepped into the office. James, is that really you? Nika, as expected, had changed in 10 years. Her soft, childlike features I knew were gone. Nika was always beautiful, but I didn't think she'll become such a stunning woman. Her eyes, still clear and expressive, now held a new, unfamiliar depth. Faint lines had appeared at the corners of her lips, giving her a smile a special charm. Seeing me, Nika rose from her seat. Her suit perfectly accentuated her stature as the principal of a prestigious school, while still highlighting her graceful figure. Nika seems genuinely happy to see me, yet she maintains a certain distance. I wonder if it's a professional habit or something personal between us. Please come in, have a seat. She pointed to the chair opposite the desk and sat back down in the principal's seat. Nika looks unexpectedly at Tom behind this massive desk, even despite her relatively young age. I'm glad to see you. It's a shame that we are meeting under these circumstances. I'm glad to see you too, Nika. You look great, and I must admit this position suits you. Principal Veronica Preston sounds impressive. And what should I call you now? Veronica, Miss Preston, or my lady? Her eyebrows slightly arched, and then she unexpectedly smiled, that same smile I hadn't seen in years, but could never forget. Oh, please, no formalities. My parents call me Veronica when I've done something wrong, and Miss Press is for schoolgirls and teachers. My lady sounds more interesting, but I'm afraid if anyone heard this, they might misunderstand us. For you, I've always been and will always be just Nika. You just changed the tone, by the way. You have matured and become even more serious. Though, even at camp, you stood out among the other guys. Do you remember that terrible screeching on the train ride to camp? I remember being scared to death, and you just got up and asked everyone to calm down. I told myself back then, this boy is special. Glad to see I wasn't wrong. Well, you are not shrinking violet either. I still remember how coolly you chased that giant spider out of your cabin. How forgot about that? It's been so much time. It's nice that you remember such small details after so many years. Well, those childhood memories usually fade. She hesitated slightly as if she wanted to say something more, but her professionalism won out. I would love to chat with you and reminisce about all the camp stories, but I'm afraid this isn't the best time for nostalgia. Unfortunately, we need to discuss something less pleasant. You're right, let's get straight to the matter. It's like she's angry or something. It's not angry, right? But like a little bit annoying because she wants to talk with us, happy things, but she needs to talk about this. Tell me more about this student. What exactly happened? Nika took a deep breath, collecting her thoughts. It was clear that talking about what happened was difficult for her. Yesterday we found one of our students hanging in the changing room by the pool. Her name was Evelyn Frost, a senior student and a member of the swimming team. Evelyn was one of our best students. No one could have imagined she was capable of such a thing. We called the police and the ambulance. We followed all the protocols, but it's a great tragedy for our entire school. The girls are scared, their parents are calling every 5 minutes, and the teachers are shocked. Nothing like this has ever happened here before. Nick, I'm sorry, but suicides usually don't require precautions like calling in specialists like me. Why did you decide to contact me? I called you so you could take a fresh look at all this and conduct a small investigation. I need an objective answer with why Evelyn might have done this. Just a couple of weeks ago, we were discussing her plans for the future, which, by the way, were quite ambitious. But her ambition was natural. She was one of our leading contenders for a grant. Wait, what grant? Every year, our best graduate gets the opportunity to enter any university in the country without any tests or exams. It's not just admission, they cover tuition, housing, and all other expenses. Of course, the competition is fierce. They consider everything, not just grades, but also sports, achievements, community work, and leadership qualities. Evelyn had every chance of getting this grant, so it's incomprehensible to me what could have pushed her to do this. You see, I can't be objective. For me, our students and teaching staff are almost a family. I know these girls not just from documents and grades. I see them every day, and I watch them grow. And when something like this happens, It's like a punch to the gut. I feel responsible to Evelyn, to her parents, to all the other students. Right now, I desperately need a clear head by my side. Besides, I don't have much time. What do you mean? How much time do you have for the investigation? The board of the trustees meeting is in 4 days. They expect answers on you. If you don't provide them, the school will likely be closed. Some parents have already said they will withdraw with their daughters from school if they don't guarantee of their safety. So we need to figure out what really happened. If it was suicide, we must understand the cause and do everything to prevent it from happening again. And if it's something else, we need to solve it even faster. Do you already have the forensic report? Were there any signs of violent death found? They promised to send information this evening. As soon as I get the report, I will inform you immediately. Are there surveillance cameras in the pool area or the corridors leading to it? If you have doubts that she did this herself, the recordings might help put an end to this matter, probably even before the forensic report. Of course, I haven't seen the recordings yet, but I already asked our technician to download and prepare all the footage from last night. Nicole looked at the watch on her wrist and then shifted her gaze to the wall clock as if checking the time. Her movements betrayed some impatience. They'll be ready in 20 minutes. Of course, there are no cameras in the changing rooms, but there is a camera in the pool area and more cameras in the corridor leading to the pool. In any case, if it's a suicide, cameras are unlikely to give us the answer to why Evelyn did it. So let's start from the beginning. Where, who, and what time was the body found? In the changing room by the second pool around 10 in the evening. Annie Harper, her classmate, found her. Wait, second pool? Does your school have more than one? The school has two pools. One is for regular physical education classes for students not specialized in swimming. The second pool is specific for swimmers. Did Evelyn have a key to the pool? Instead of a key, you will use face scanner. Access is available to me, Coach Simon Rivers, and the girls on the swimming team. By the way, I've already requested to give you access as well, so you can enter the pool at any time. Doesn't the system save data on who entered and when? The scanner installed at the pool doesn't save data. Wow, really? Why? Unfortunately, we haven't had time to update it. Only the scan at the main gate saves the data and recordings, but in any case, Evelyn didn't leave the school grounds. Only adults are allowed to leave the school grounds, and Evelyn wasn't 18 yet. Well, we'll work with what we have. You say her classmate Annie found her? Is Annie also a swimmer? Yes, Annie is on the swimming team. In our school, classes aren't formed by age but by specialization. We have a science, arts, humanities, and of course a sports department, which features several disciplines including swimming. Evelyn and all the other swimmers she trained with were also classmates. They not only practiced together at the pool but also attended most classes adapted to their training schedule. That probably simplifies things, so we need to focus on the girls from the swimming team. I pull out a notepad and pen from the inner pocket of my jacket. The habit of writing down details remained from my first investigations. Notepad obtained. Something important could slip from memory, and in some cases, every little thing matters. Please send me the data on everyone who had access to the pool, including students, teachers, and maintenance staff. All the maintenance staff were off for the weekend, so they weren't at school. I'm not sure it's worth spending time on them. As for the rest, I already prepared the key information for you. Nika handed me a folder. Inside I found photos of the coach and students, along with short information about each. So wait, so this is the one that died. Sam, this is the coach. This is Annie that found. Vivian Devereux. Sophie, okay, that one that we already saw. And Mickey. Nika phone vibrated, and that very second, a notification sound chimed on her computer. She glanced at the monitor, expression abruptly changing. I know it's urgent, I just have a couple more questions. Looks like time is really limited, I need to ask my questions wisely. Who else was a contact for a grant besides Evelyn? And how serious was the competition? I knew you'll ask about that. This morning I wanted to get documents from the graduating students from Teachers Lounge, all their rankings, grades, and even personal notes from teachers about each student. And the most interesting thing is that these papers have gone missing. Someone must have taken them to work on and forgot to return them. I'll have to check with my colleagues. Regarding the grant this year, it was mainly Evelyn and her classmate Mickey Elderwood who were competing for it. Both are very talented but in different areas. Evelyn was our star in the pool, and Mickey is a genius in the exact science. She has no equal in mathematics and physics. She's even won the National Olympiads twice. A good motive. I'll need to talk to this Mickey. Probably this. What were Evelyn's relationship with other students like? Does she have friends or enemies? How did the other girls treat her? During her entire time here, Evelyn only became friends with her roommate Sophie. Sophie is the complete opposite of Evelyn. She's sociable, emotional, and always the center of attention, but somehow they complemented each other perfectly. Nika paused for a second, glanced at her desk, and decided to reach for a drawer. I think I have a photo of them somewhere. Here, yes, here it is. She took out a small photograph in a simple frame and handed it to me. So, that one that we saw. That's why she was like sad. Wait a minute, I've seen this girl today at the school gate. She's the student who was staring at me intently. She looked worried. With the other girls on the team, Evelyn's relationship were mainly neutral. I think they respected her for her results, but they didn't really include her in their company, perhaps because she wasn't sociable. I haven't heard of any serious animosity. Of course, we have a minor disagreements and misunderstandings like any school does, especially given that ours is a private one, but nothing to worry about as far as I know. You mentioned that Annie, Evelyn's classmate, found the body. What was Annie doing at the pool at 10 p.m. on a weekend? Nika frowned and shook her head. Honestly, I don't know. When Annie came running to me in tears, the last thing I cared about was what she was doing there so late. I think you'll better ask her that question personally. Okay, I'll figure it out. A picture of what happened was slowly forming in my mind. Of course, it wasn't complete, but I had the initial ideas. Do you think the camera recordings are ready yet, or does the technician need more time? I think we could go down and check it. Johnson usually works very fast, he might have already prepared them. We both rose from our chairs, but before we could take a step, the office door burst open without a knock. A woman in a tracksuit almost flew into the room. So this is the coach. Miss Preston, I have an emergency. But I wonder if saying about that to Annie wasn't the best. Probably I should have said if the family had conflicts or enemies. The woman stopped mid-sentence, noticing me in the office, but she didn't look embarrassed. She was probably assessing what was happening. Sorry, I didn't know you had a visitor. I seem to have interrupted your conversation. I should have knocked. It's okay. That's James Crofton, specialist I invite to help us understand the situation. James, meet Sam Rivers, our swimming coach. So, what's your emergency? I'm afraid this emergency is sitting in front of you. The entire school is buzzing up because of a man in suit. People are spreading rumors. I came to ask that the police not torment the students with endless interrogations. It's not easy enough for the girls traumatized by their classmates' death. James isn't exactly from the police. He's an experienced investigation specialist who will help us figure out what happened. As for talking to the girls, it's a necessity. We need to understand what could have pushed Evelyn to do this. Besides, I've already received consent from both the parents and students for these conversations. Sam crossed her arms over her chest. No disrespect, but you don't need to be a detective to understand that the girl probably couldn't handle the responsibility. That's weird. I didn't get the chance to ask what kind of responsibility she was referring to as the piercing wail of a fire alarm echoed through the building. Nika immediately turned to her desk and reached for her computer. A few quick keystrokes and her face froze. It's not a drill. The security sheet shows there is a fire on the fourth floor. The server room is burning, of course. The footage. Johnson is up there preparing the recordings. Nika rushed to the door. Sam and I followed her. The corridors are already in motion. Students and teachers were exiting classrooms in organizing chaos. We struggled to make our way through the crowd running towards us. The murmur of voice and blare of alarms filled the school. Nika, on the move, issued instructions to the teachers she met along the way. Miss Parker, please make sure all junior students come out to the front yard. Jenkins, contact the fire department. A middle-aged woman, apparently one of the teachers, was trying to soothe a sobbing girl while other students lined up along the wall. Somewhere in the distance, there were the shouts of senior teachers coordinating evacuation. Nika confidently led us through the labyrinth of corridors, climbing higher and higher up the stairs, skipping steps. On the third floor, we turned into an empty corridor. There were no students, only the smell of smoke that grew more intense with each step. Having reached the end, we stopped in front of a small room from under whose door grey plums were billowing. Johnson, are you there? There was no answer. I quickly looked around and noticed a fire extinguisher on the wall. Without wasting time, I ripped it from its mount. I knew it could be dangerous, but every second counted. Step aside. That's very cool. I pulled the door open and directed the stream of foam at the source of the fire. The flames quickly receded. Despite all the smoke, the fire was small. The flames retreated under the pressure of the chemical. Although the smoke made it seem like a serious blaze, the fire wasn't massive. Near the shattered wires and melted microchips were the blackened remains of external drives. After exchanging the last flickers, I looked around. It was a small room, more like a storage closet with several monitors and technical equipment. Thank God no one's here. Johnson must have evacuated with the others. Your technician probably survived, which is more than I can say for the computers. What a weird coincidence. The fire occurred when we were about to get the camera recordings. Too strange to happen randomly. It looks like someone didn't want us to see the records from those cameras. It's quite likely this could relate to the girl's death. Is someone destroying evidence? We should find Johnson and figure out why the fire started so inopportunely and where he was at that time. I'll take care of that, and also I need to calm the students and staff. The sooner we normalize the situation, the better. James, maybe you could talk to Miss Rivers for now? She was Evelyn's coach and mentor. Perhaps she can tell you something. I don't mind. I'll also like to examine the spot where the body was found. Sam, will you show James the pool and changing room? I'll join you later. Sure, no problem. Nika, take your time. I'll talk to Miss Rivers and Evelyn's classmates. It's just Sam for you. Sam gave me a slight wink with an unexpected playfulness that didn't at all match her previous serious demeanor. Nika's reaction was barely noticeable, just a slight tension in her jawline and a fleeting pause before she nodded and turned to leave. An invisible spark of tension seemed to flash between the two women, something I couldn't help but notice. Seems like Nika is jealous? I followed Nika with my eyes and then hurried to catch up with Sam, who was already moving in the opposite direction. In silence we walked down the car and descended to the first floor. The fire alarm had already quieted, but a faint scent of smoke still lingered in the air. The coach kept one step ahead, leading me through the labyrinth of school corridors. Her confident gait and perfect posture unmistakably revealed a person from whom sport was a way of life, not just a profession. We passed several turns, went through double doors, and found ourselves in a spacious room with a high ceiling. The smell of chlorine immediately hit my nose. Here we are, the champion's home. The coach's voice softened, taking on playful notes. So, you're not the police, then where are you from? Curiosity flickered in her eyes. She looked at me, her head tilted, as if trying to solve a puzzle. I'm more of a security consultant. Miss Preston invited me in as an independent expert. Security consultant. Sounds mysterious. She took a step toward me, closing the distance. A mysterious man in a perfect suit, and handsome too, just like in the movies. I want to examine the changing room where the body was found. Could you show me? She nodded at me and headed towards a door on the right side of the hall. I followed her, trying to focus on the case and not on her overt flirting. The changing room looked as usual. Rows of metal lockers, wooden bench, and a few showered stalls. I carefully examined the room, trying to understand what could have happened here yesterday. My gaze stopped at a thick water pipe running along the ceiling. So that's where they found her? Yep, that's the only place for hanging here. Sam instinctively reached for her neck, massaging her tense muscles, a physical sign of emotional discomfort. However, her face remained surprisingly calm for someone talking about the death of her student. What was Evelyn's locker number? 17. She answered without second hesitation. Does the coach know the locker numbers of all her students or just a selected few? I approached locker number 17 and examined it. It was an ordinary metal locker, no different from the others, with a small blue towel and flip-flops inside. Finding nothing of interest, I crouched down to look under the bench. At that moment I felt a piercing gaze on me. Turning around, I noticed Sam quickly averted her eyes, but not fast enough for me to miss her gaze fixed on my butt. Didn't she leave a note? A note? Nah, nothing like that. And why would she? It's not her style. Why do you think so? Even when she was alive, that girl barely opened her mouth. I drilled her in the pool for 3 years, and in all that time, we might have exchanged a couple of phrases beyond swim faster and keep your back straight. She was, how should I put it, reserved. For her, there was only the pool, stopwatch, and the result. I looked around the room again, trying to see something that might offer a clue. Sam Rivers didn't take her eyes off me, her sneaker tapping nervously on the tilted floor. Maybe we should move out to my office to continue our talk? Okay, I think I'm done here. The coach office was small but comfortable, with cabinets full of trophies and walls covered with photos of smiling girls with medals around their necks. In the corner was a small sofa, and the center of the room was occupied by a desk piled with folders and papers. I settled on the sofa and Sam headed towards the coat rack and began pulling off her sweatshirt. After running around the cars, I feel like I have a good workout, heated and sweaty. I urgently need to do something. Sam pulled the zipper down, slowly, almost demonstratively, took off her sweatshirt. My gaze lingered on Sam. What? We have the notebook. I couldn't tear my eyes away from Sam. Underneath her sweatshirt was a tight tank top that barely contained her full breasts. The fabric outlined every curve of her toned body, showcasing the results of years of training. Our eyes unexpectedly met, and I realized she had been watching my reaction the whole time. A satisfied, almost predatory smile played on her lips. There was pure contentment in her gaze. My reaction definitely pleased her. I need to focus on the investigation, not on the right proportions of the swimming coach. Though I must admit, the proportions are quite impressive. Okay. Here you are already measuring, is what it is. Sam settled into the opposite chair, crossing one leg over the other and leaning slightly forward. Her gaze was fixed directly on me as if she was trying to read my thoughts. So, where were we? When we were in the principal office, you say you weren't surprised Evelyn killed herself. Why? Even though I'm her coach, and I shouldn't say this, Evelyn Frost was a very odd girl. I never saw her smile, can you believe it? Not once. Even when she broke the school record competitions. No joy, just a nod. But Evelyn was a damn talented swimmer. I had high hopes for her and planned to make her an Olympic champion. Interesting, she talks about Evelyn like a lost chance at glory, not a deceased student. Lately, have you noticed any change in Evelyn's behavior? Perhaps she seemed depressed or upset? Hard to say, it was never clear what this girl was feeling. She'll come in, train hard and leave, all in silence, with a stony face. You know, I always felt that swimming wasn't her choice. Her parents probably pushed her and constantly demanded results. She probably just got tired at some point. And what was her relationship with her teammates like? The girls of course gave her dirty looks, but they didn't bully her. They were mutually indifferent to each other, I would say. Although they trained together, it was hard to call them a team. I wanted to clarify one more thing. Where did Evelyn get the rope she used to hang herself? Sam frowned slightly and quickly looked around. She probably snatched it from here, from the coach office. I have a few ropes for training. Shouldn't the coach office be locked? There was never a need, before all this mess, of course. But you just opened the door with a key when you came in. A fleeting look of confusion crossed Sam's face, which she instantly hid behind a playful smile. Detective, are you suspecting me of something? Of course, I started locking doors after what happened. Didn't you go to the pool last night? On Sunday night? I certainly love sports, but not that much. Sam leaned forward, gazing intently into my eyes, the corner of her lips slightly upturned in a faint smile. Last night I was bored to tears in my double bed. You know, at moments like that, you really feel how big it is for one person. Thought, I think you could help me with that little problem. A detective with such ability surely knows how to entertain a lady when she's lonely. Flirt back. I met her gaze and allowed myself a slight smile. In investigations, as in relationships, it's important not to rush. First, you must gather all the facts and examine the details, and then make conclusions. Perhaps when the case is closed, we can discuss your problem in more detail. Sam's eyes sparkled with pleasure. She appreciated my answer. I like your strategy, Mr. Crofton. I think I don't have any more questions for you today. Although, no, I do have one. Could you tell me where I can find Annie Harper? Sam's eyebrows rose and a flick of surprise mixed with weariness crossed her face. Harper? Why do you need her? She hardly communicated with Evelyn. Annie found the body. At least I need to understand why she went to the pool at that time. Maybe she knew something? The girl is most likely in her room right now. The student dormitory is in the east wing. She rose from her chair, took her sweatshirt from the hanger and put it back on. I'll show you the way. The school is big. It's easy to get lost. We stepped into the corridor. The building was gradually filling with students and staff. The girls were returning in groups, quietly chatting to each other. Sam confidently led me through the hall to the side wing of the building. At our appearance, conversations immediately died down, and all the students' attention turned on us. One of the girls, as she walked past, looked at Sam and me with curiosity. Her eyes swept over me with undisguised interest, but when she met the coach's stern, warning gaze, she immediately looked away and quickened her pace. We ascended the spacious staircase to the second floor, where the corridor branched in several directions. The student rooms are in the east wing. The girls live in pairs. We grouped them by their focus. Sports girls are nerds. It's easier to monitor them and avoid schedule confusion that way. Harper's roommate's currently in a chemistry class. Sam lowered her voice and leaned closer, her eyes sparkling playfully. By the way, I live not far from here, room 91, just around the corner, just in case you need extra information or something a bit stronger than coffee after a hard day. I'll keep that in mind. Sam smiled slightly, my answer seemed to satisfy her. As we walked down the corridor, I noticed that the room doors had numbers, some of them decorated with stickers or drawings. Finally, Sam stopped in front of door 63. There were no decorations on it, just a small metal plate with the number. Here we are. The coach knocked briefly. There was no answer. She knocked again, a little more insistently. Maybe the girls haven't returned after the evacuation yet? We were about to leave when a quiet rustling sound from behind the door. A couple of seconds later, the door creaked open a few centimeters. Annie, may we come in? The girl silently opened the door wider, letting us in. Evil within? Oh no. Maybe Sam got the wrong door and we accidentally walked into a junior high student's room? The girl's head barely reached my chest, but the coach wasn't surprised. She's so tiny, it's hard to believe she's a high school senior, much less a swimmer. Annie, this is Mr. Crofton. He's here to talk to us about Evelyn. But if you don't want to, you don't have to talk to anyone, we understand. A brief exchange of glances between Annie and Sam didn't escape my attention. My job has taught me to see what's hidden from the naked eye, and I could discern the signs of inner tension in the girl's posture. Annie's shoulders slowly tensed, her breathing became more measured, as if she was consciously controlling it, and her pupils slightly dilated. Her face showed the indifference, but her body betrayed her either aversion or fear. I'm fine, I'm ready. Sam smiled, but there was something natural, forced about it. The coach leaned slightly toward the girl, lowering her voice to an almost intimate whisper. Okay, if you feel uncomfortable, please don't hesitate to discuss it with me. You know I won't let anyone hurt you. Annie nodded silently, clenching her teeth so tight that her cheekbones bulged. Thank you for showing me the way, Miss Rivers. The coach left the room, quietly closing the door behind her. Annie and I were alone. There was silence in the room. Annie stood arms crossed, looking at me with defiance. Despite her petite stature, she somehow managed to look menacing. The air in the room seemed charged with her tension. I said not to rush things and let her get used to my presence. I how the hell? Unobtrusively scanned the room. What the fuck? No, noting a curious detail, the room seemed to be divided by an invisible line into two completely different territories. The left half was in meticulous order, a made bed, even rows of books, a clean desk, and everything neatly arranged. The right side sharply contrasted, clothes on a chair, textbooks scattered around, and above the bed a wall covered with horror movie posters. I'll bet the mess is Annie's territory. Judging by her wrinkled collar and crooked tie, the girl is not the type to fold her socks by collar. Mind if I sit down? Suit yourself. Annie dismissively waved her hand towards the neatly made bed, but she remained standing. How are you feeling, Annie? I know it's hard to get through this. How do you think I feel? I found my classmate's body, and now everyone's asking me questions if it is my fault. Do you even have any idea what it's like? Annie abruptly turned to the window and took a deep breath, trying to calm down. When she turned back to me, her face expressed a mixture of irritation and fatigue. And that stupid fire alarm. The school is on edge, and I can't even get any sleep. I understand you're going through a tough time. Can you tell me how close you were to Evelyn? A tough time? Are you sure you're not a psychologist? I already told them I don't need a shrink. No, I'm not a psychologist. I'm here to figure out what happened. My job right now is to talk to Evelyn's inner circle. If you need her inner circle, you got the wrong door and should go to Sophie. We weren't friends with Evelyn. Why? You were on the same swimming team and classmates too, weren't you? Annie rolled her eyes as if I had asked the stupidest question in the world. She plopped down on the edge of the bed opposite, showing her irritation. Being on the same team doesn't mean you have to be friends with everyone. Why would I do it? We had nothing in common but the pool. She had eyes like a dead fish, always silent and staring at everyone, and she liked to stick her nose where it didn't belong. What do you mean by stick her nose where it didn't belong? Annie's reaction was immediate. Her eyes widened, as if she had just realized she'll say those wrong words aloud. Panic, confusion, and finally irritation flashed across her face. She abruptly sat up straight and clenched her fists. Nothing particular, it's just, some people always notice everything, remember it, and then use it against you. She was like that. She studied everyone like bugs under a microscope. There is some backstory behind those words, but will Annie share it? She doesn't seem friendly with me right now. Did Evelyn have conflicts with anyone? Perhaps with some of her classmates or your coach? Nothing like that. Did you see her yesterday afternoon? Maybe she looked at the press or worried about something? I told you didn't talk. I didn't see her. And anyway, I don't keep track of what people do. I have enough worries on my own. I took out my notepad from my inner pocket and made a brief note. The sound of a pencil on paper was too loud in the quiet room. Annie fidgeted on the bed, her gaze darting to the notepad and back to my face. They told me you found Evelyn in the changing room. Why did you need to go to the pool at 10 in the evening on Sunday? Annie froze. The silence in the room grew tense, broken only by the ticking of a clock on the wall. Seconds stretched into an eternity before she finally reacted. The girl jumped off the bed, her face contorted with anger. Despite her petite stature, Annie looked intimidating. Are you accusing me of something? Who even are you? A cop? I don't see your badge. You have no right to interrogate me. Aren't you too small to talk like that? I'm gonna say this. Responding to her aggressive approach is pointless. I'm unlikely to achieve anything. Annie is like a feral kitten that's used to a woman and hitting, not petting. So it is at everyone. To get information, I need to remain calm and not to take her attacks personally. You're right, it's not an interrogation, I'm just trying to piece together the events. If I ask an uncomfortable question, we can move on to another topic. I'm here not to accuse anyone, but to understand what happened. Annie blinked, not expecting that reaction. Her shoulders relaxed slightly, though her gaze was still wary. She slowly sat back down on the bed, looking away and avoiding eye contact. When she spoke, her voice was softer, uncertainty seeping through her feigned rudeness. I forgot my towel in the changing room. I wanted to wash it before tomorrow's training. Nothing special. I just went in and I found her. I'm sorry I was rude. It's just this whole situation. You know, Evelyn might have been a bit odd, but she was still a nice girl. Thanks for being honest, Annie. If you remember anything else or need to talk to someone, call me anytime. Day or night, doesn't matter. I took a business card from the inner pocket of my jacket and handed it to her. Annie took the card and nodded silently, tucking it in her uniform pocket. I stood up and headed to the exit. Quietly closing the door behind me, I stepped into a corridor, and at that moment my phone vibrated in my pocket. Okay, so girls' room numbers. Annie, Mickey is this one, Sophie. Oh no. So, how the hell is this? Annie and Mickey, Evelyn and Sophie and Vivian is this? Okay. I took out my phone and saw a message from Nika. Well, I already talked to Annie. Mickey wasn't in her room, so now I can go see Sophie Williams, Evelyn's roommate. Nika said they were friends. I straightened my tie and moved down the corridor to room number 65. When I reached the door, I knocked and no one answered. I waited a few seconds before I knocked again, a little louder. Silence. I tried the door handle. The door is locked. Sophie must be in class, so just doesn't want to see anyone after everything that happened. After reviewing the list again, I decided to visit the room of a student named Vivian Devereaux. The girl's last name seemed vaguely familiar to me. I continued down the corridor, past identical doors with simple door number plates, but when I reached door number 73, I saw it didn't look like the others. Below the number was an elegant drawing of a crowned lion. Judging by its style and technique, it was a family crest. I knocked on the door and almost immediately a female voice answered from within. Come in! Stepping into the room, I involuntarily froze in surprise. The scene that unfolded before me didn't match the idea of a student room in a boarding school. Instead of a typical school dormitory furnishings, I saw something more akin to a five-star hotel room. In the center of the space on a large bed, I noticed the room's owner, an elegant girl in a silk robe surrounded by pillows. She stretched gracefully like a Disney princess who had just woken up. Daylight streamed through the translucent fabric of her robe, accentuated the curves of her figure. The girl hopped off the bed with the grace of a ballerina and took a step toward me. Miss Devereaux? The word slipped from my lips unexpectedly formally. Damn, why am I being so formal? She's Annie's age. But Annie looked like a ill-mannered junior high school, while Vivian looks like a young woman confident in her beauty and influence. If it isn't a good time, I can come back later. It's alright, please come in. Vivian gestured to a puff and sat in the chair at the vanity table. Every movement she made was smooth and refined, as if she were playing a role in a well-rehearsed performance. I accepted the invitation and sat down on the fluffy pink puff, discreetly observing the room's details. A private room with a double bed and a vanity table for a student? Even an elite school has its hierarchy, and Vivian Devereaux is definitely at its top. You are Mr. Crofton, aren't you? Please excuse my appearance. I didn't sleep well last night and dozed off. Vivian turned to me, crossing one leg over the other. Sunlight from the window lit up her profile, highlighting her flawless features. Suspicious? Why suspicious? Gonna say this. David, I said I didn't plan a meeting like this. I'm a detective, of course, but first and foremost, I'm a man, and I can't help but notice that Vivian Devereaux is a rare beauty. And when such a girl meets you in a translucent robe, anyone will lose their head. And besides, the age difference between us is not that big. Sorry for the intrusion. I must admit, I didn't expect such an unusual encounter. I hope our conversation won't take too long and you can get back to your rest. My smile was warmer than it should have been for a formal conversation. Vivian responded with a slight curve of her lips. Something tells me we'll get along, so I won't be upset if our conversation drags on a little. I froze my mesmerized as Vivian coquettishly tucked a straight strand of hair behind her ear. It took me a while to come to my senses and remember why I was there. I took out my notepad, signaling that the time for polite pleasantries was over and it was time to get to the purpose of my visit. You probably know why I'm here. I need to understand what happened to Evelyn Frost. Any information might help, even if it seems insignificant to you. A great tragedy. I still can't recover from the moment I learned that our Evelyn is gone. I even thought about packing my things to go home. That's how shocked I was. But then I decided to stay to support the girls, especially Sophie. I saw her this morning. The poor thing is beside herself. They were so close. She's probably blaming herself for not seeing the warning signs. It's hard to accept the death of someone you love. You always think about what you could have done to prevent it, what words needed to be said, what actions should you have taken. But sometimes people make decisions that cannot be Prevent. Everyone has their own path and can choose when to live it. You speak as if you are not particularly surprised by Evelyn's suicide. Maybe you noticed these warning signs? Evelyn and I never had two hard conversations. Of course, if we were friends, I would have noticed something strange and would have immediately reported it. But given that we didn't communicate, it's hard for me to say if anything changed in her. Perhaps she looked the same, but who knows what was on her mind. What prevented you from getting along? You spent several years in the same class. You were her second classmate to mention that she was hard to get close to. Maybe I be frank, Mr. Crofton? Of course, that's what I would prefer. I think Evelyn is the type of person who prefers the company of her own thoughts over people. She never reached out to people, and people didn't reach out to her. It's simple. As for me, don't get me wrong, I wasn't biased against Evelyn. I don't really get along with any of my classmates. To me, they are kids. We have little in common. Aren't you all the same age? I'm talking about psychological age. I've always found it more interesting to spend time with more mature people. I prefer to discuss things more complex and meaningful than prompt their asks. Vivian sounds quite self-confident. I would even say narcissistic. Do you think pressure could have affected Evelyn? I know she was a good student and the best on the swimming team. Maybe her parents or coach Sam Rivers expect results from her and Evelyn didn't want that? Something flickered in Vivian's eyes, a quick, almost imperceptible shadow. For a split second, her mask of social confidence wavered. Then the smile returned, even wider than before, but there was something strange and mechanical about it. It was as if someone had flipped an invisible switch to make her facial muscles adopt their usual expression, but forgot to turn on sincerity. I don't know anything about her parents, and Coach Rivers, she wouldn't do that. It looks like everyone doesn't want to talk about the coach, what he looks like. There was a short pause. Vivian sat up straight in her chair as if someone had stuck a ruler into her back. I thought the girl's face remained unperturbed. Her tense posture betrayed her desire to end the conversation. Mr. Croft, I understand you are looking for answers, but I'm afraid I'm not the person who can give them. My knowledge of Evelyn is that she was a good swimmer and didn't talk much, nothing more than you already know. Thank you anyway, I appreciate any information. I have one more question. I rose to my feet, taking my time to continue the conversation. Years of work have taught me that sometimes silence elicits more truth than a dozen questions. Watching Vivian, I noticed how she froze in a natural stillness. No movement, not a single breath, as if she was on pause. Her reaction can say a lot, and the most obvious is that Vivian is afraid. I'm going to ask her an uncomfortable question. Do you know where I can find Sophie Williams? I knock on her door, but no one answered. Having realized the question had nothing to do with her, Vivian relaxed and smiled again, more sincerely this time. On Mondays, Sophie usually has private swimming lessons. I know because I have the same training right after hers, so most likely she's at the pool now. Thank you, I'll look for her there then. I closed my notepad and stood up. Vivian rose after me and headed the door to see me out. When I reached the door handle, it didn't budge, as if it was blocked. Oh, I completely forgot to mention, I have a defective handle. No one rushing to replace it. Well, I'm used to it now. To open the door, you first need to pull it towards you and then push down the handle. Let me show you. Vivian glided to the door and leaned slightly, demonstrating how to open the lock. At that moment, the collar of her robe parted a little, and I noticed a dark mark on her chest. Until then, the mark had been under the top, but it was clearly visible now as she leaned forward. We can see close over there. Well, it looks like our elegant lady has secrets. That's a mark from someone's sleeps, not an accidental bruise. And judging by its bright color, it's quite fresh. Nika said that only students are allowed to leave the school grounds, and Vivian isn't 18 yet. This means her Iki is from someone within the school. I immediately looked away, trying to make it as natural as possible. The last thing I wanted was for Vivian to realize I'll notice what she was so carefully hiding under the silk fabric. Focusing on the door handle, I feigned a complete absorption in the process of opening the door. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw Vivian hastily adjust the collar of her robe as if she sensed my gaze. Thank you for your help, and for the information about Sophie too. You're always welcome, Mr. Crofton. I hope you find the answers you are looking for, and if you need any more information, you know where to find me. Leaving Vivian's room, I headed to the pool, following the same route Sam had taken me earlier. I passed the familiar turns, went on to the first floor, and walked through the double doors, where the distinctive smell of chlorine hit my nose again. I noticed a girl by the pool. She was sitting on the edge, her back to me, with her feet in the water. I walked along the pool, but the girl didn't react to the sound of my steps. Sorry to disturb you. Are you Sophie Williams? The girl flinched so hard that she nearly slipped into the water. She turned around sharply. In her blue eyes I could see fear. Her red and swollen eyelids spoke of recent tears, and dark circles under her eyes indicated a sleepless night. Oh God, you startled me. I didn't hear your approach. She hastily wiped her ears with the back of her hand, brushing away tears. Sorry, I didn't mean to scare you. I'm James Crofton. They told me I could find you here. You are that detective. The principal warned me you'll be asking questions. There was no weariness or aggression in her voice, only fatigue and sadness. I picked up a rubber mat and sat down next to Sophie on the edge of the pool, keeping a respectful distance. Sophie pulled her knees to her chest and absently ran her foot through the water. Miss Rivers gave me the day off today, but I couldn't stay in my room any longer. Every time I turned over, I saw Ivy's side, her books, her clothes, her everything. So I decided to come here. The water calms me. Please accept my condolences. I know you work close with Evelyn. Yeah, Avy and I are best friends. She's great. So sensitive and kind. Though many don't understand that. It's just Avy doesn't know how to show her feelings. She always keeps everything inside. Sophie's talking about Evelyn in the present tense. She probably still can't accept her death. The girl took a deep breath, trying to hold back the approaching sobs, but her chin trembled. A single tear rolled down her cheek, and Sophie hastily wiped it away with her hand. Sorry, Sophie, I'm sorry to ask, but I have to. Why do you think Evelyn might have decided to do this? Sophie turned to me sharply, her eyes flaring. Evelyn couldn't. I don't believe it. She'll never do that. And you were better than anyone. If something had been troubling her, something so serious, I would have noticed. If you don't believe it was suicide, then what do you think happened? Sophie flinched and wrapped her arms around herself as she suddenly felt cold. I've been asking myself that question since last night, but I don't have an answer. When Avy didn't come to the dorm room last night, I immediately felt something was wrong. It was like a dream, a terrible nightmare. I was about to go and look for her, but Miss Preston stopped me. I don't even remember exactly what she said, but when she came to our room and I saw her face, I immediately knew something bad had happened. Sophie closed her eyes and exhaled loudly. Many people I've talked to say that Evelyn was quite a private person. Do you think she might not have shared everything with you? Sophie's gaze drifted aimlessly across the surface of the pool as she gathered her thoughts. I don't know, maybe. Maybe I've been too focused on my own problems lately and I haven't spent enough time with Avy. What kind of friend does that make me? A wave of emotion overwhelmed Sophie with renewed force. She buried her face in her hands, her shoulders convulsing with quiet sobs. Comfort with words? No. I couldn't remain indifferent about you. I was choking on tears. I kind of put my hand on Sophie's shoulder and squeezed lightly. Sophie, it's not your fault. People sometimes hide their pain so deeply that even the closest ones can see it. I promise you'll figure out what happened. Sophie froze but didn't pull away from my touch. Her shoulders gradually stopped trembling. Thank you. You are not alone. If you want to talk, I'm here. She looked up and a faint but sincere smile appeared on her lips. You are not what I imagined you'll be. What did you manage me to be? I don't know, a cold professional who doesn't care about people. She sighed softly, as if gathering her strength, and then gently removed my hand, not abruptly, but with a fragile tenderness. I know you are not here to comfort me. You want to understand what happened to Avi. I'm ready to tell you everything I know. Do you know why Evelyn went to the pool last night? Did you see her when she left? Sophie stared into space, as if trying to discern the ghost of yesterday. The last time I saw her was yesterday after dinner. I'm not sure, but I think she said she wanted to talk to Miss Rivers about something. Sam seemed to say she spent the evening in her room. I'll need to talk to her again and clarify if Evelyn came to see her yesterday. You two were roommates, weren't you? After dinner, did Evelyn leave or did you? At these words, something changed in Sophie's demeanor. Her shoulders tensed and her eyes darted around. I stayed in the room. First I was in the room, preparing for tests, then I went to dinner. Before I came back, I went to the library to get some materials, and then I was back in the room when Avi left. That was around 6, right? Or maybe later? I think I already mentioned. So, did you see Evelyn leave? Sophie's gaze flitted across the walls, the ceiling, the water, anywhere but me. She began methodically winding strands of hair around her index finger, then straightening them and winding them over and over again. Yes, no, I was in the room when she was getting ready, but I had to return some books and I probably left before her. Or she left before me, I can't remember. It was a hectic day. She's definitely hiding something. First she claimed to have seen Evelyn around 6, but now she's confused about whether she was even in the room at that moment. But what exactly is Sophie trying to hide? That she went somewhere? Or that she saw someone with Evelyn? Or maybe she knows more about where her roommate was going. I won't pressure her. It's better to change the subject and come back to this later when I have more information. What about her family? Did Evelyn tell you anything about her parents? About their relationship? She has a great family. I know Mr. and Miss Frost personally. They are good people and love Avi very much. I stayed with them for a week at the end of summer before school started. They live in a beautiful house on the coast. And you know what's most impressive? They spent every evening together, talking, playing board games or tennis. Avi's parents were just there, talking without phones and constant excuses like, we'll talk later, I'm busy. It's so valuable when your family is genuinely present in your life, not just providing financially. Ivy had both. She was lucky. While Sophie was talking about Avi family, I felt my phone vibrate in my pants pocket. It was inappropriate to get distracted at that moment, but it could be something related to the investigation. Thank you for being so open, Sophie. Your words have clarified a lot. I need to continue the investigation, but I would like to come back to our conversation later if you don't mind. Sophie nodded slowly. Sure. I nodded goodbye to her and headed for the exit. At the door I turned back. Sophie was still sitting on the edge of the pool, her feet in the water. Sophie's like an open book with a few torn pages. At first glance she's sincere, sensitive girl grieving for her friend. But those inconsistencies in time, the nervousness, she's clearly holding something back. The most dangerous secrets are sometimes kept by those you least suspect. Or maybe Sophie's just a frightened girl who lost her best friend. It's too early to draw conclusions, but I should keep an eye on her. Keep an eye on everyone is what it is. Okay, how are things going? Have you talked to the girls? Stepping into the corridor, I took my phone and read a message from Nika. How is it going? Managed to talk to the girls? I talked to Annie, Vivian, and so I couldn't find Mickey Elderwood. Mickey's in the library now, second floor, west wing. Talk to her, then come to my office. I also have news from the medical examiner. Following the route provided in the message, I arrived at the library. Behind the heavy oak door, I was met with silence, broken only by the rustle of page and barely audible whispers. Sunlight streamed through the wall windows, casting oblique rays onto the wooden tables placed between the bookcases. A few girls were sitting at the tables, their noses were in books. Which one of you is Mickey? I unzipped my bag and took out my notepad, where I already put the thoughts of the students I had spoken with. Flipping through the page, I noticed that Mickey Elderwood's thought wasn't there. I dug into my side pocket and spotted a lone thought that had slipped into the corner. It must have fallen out when I was arranging the others. I picked it up and carefully examined the image. Wait a minute, I saw her today. She's the same girl I bumped into the corridor when I was looking for Nika's office. What a coincidence. I scanned the library and quickly found the one I was looking for. Mickey Elderwood had settled in the furthest corner, barricaded by stacks of books. The girl fixed her gaze on the page, completely lost to reality. I stopped at Mickey's table and waited a few seconds, but she was so engrossed in her reading that she didn't even notice me. Hello again. The girl sharply looked up and her eyes magnified by her glass widened in surprise. Seeing me, she instinctively snapped her book shut and, with an habitual motion, adjusted her glass, which were sliding down her nose. Her cheeks immediately flushed, the blush spreading to the tips of her ears. It's you, the one, I mean, hello. She quickly glanced around as if checking whether I was talking to her or not someone else. Her gaze held a mixture of disbelief and confusion. Out of the corner of my eye, I noticed several girls at neighboring tables looking up from their textbooks, watching us with undisguised curiosity. One of them covered her mouth with her hand, whispering something to her neighbor. Mickey also noticed this glance, which intensified her embarrassment. May I? I gestured to the empty chair opposite. Mickey hastily moved some scattered papers aside and nervously nodded. Of course, please. I sat down opposite her and immediately noticed the book she had so hastily closed. The title on the cover was Mysticism Under the Microscope, a scientific analysis of the paranormal phenomena. Another curious book with a strange title. Unusual reading. Is that part of your curriculum or personal interest? It's not exact for class. It was a self-soothing, if I may say so. Thought I know it's completely irrational and goes against common sense. Mickey nervously flipped through the book without looking up. Her fingers trembled slightly. Have you seen anything paranormal? Yes, well, I'm not sure. I thought someone was standing in our room at night in the dark. I know it's my imagination, the result of increased cortisol due to stress, but it was so real. Did you see Evelyn? The girl nodded shyly, confirming my guess. That's a perfect normal reaction to what happened. Shocks often cause such feelings. I guess you're right. It's just that Annie really scared me yesterday. Annie? You know, she's the one who found Evelyn, right? When she ran into our room late at night, her eyes were so big, so wild. She was sitting on the edge of my bed half the night and telling me horrible things. Mickey spoke faster and faster, as if afraid that if she stopped, she would lose the courage to continue. You know, she's into all this occult stuff. She said that those who die a violent or unnatural deaths are restless souls who remain forever tied to the place where they died. That they see all our secrets, all our sins. Mickey lowered her voice almost to a whisper, nervously glancing around, and that they come to judge the wicked, and that now Evelyn will under the school to unpunished sinners. I know it's superstition, but Annie believes it, and she spoke very convincingly. And her posters too. I always thought they were creepy, but yesterday they felt like they were watching me all night. Judge the wicked, punish sinners. Is Mickey afraid that Evelyn's spirit will haunt them? Will haunt her? Mickey, believe me, shouting in the corner is just tricks of imagination. Everything has a rational explanation, even the strangest thing. I leaned a little closer, speaking in a soft, soothing tone. You know, I studied psychology and intimidation tactics at the university, and I used the classic techniques, darkness, isolation, talk of supernatural. However, I don't think she was trying to scare you on purpose. It's more likely that she was on edge herself after everything that happened. In such a state, the human brain is especially susceptible to suggestion. It's just biology and psychology, no mysticism. Mika listened intently, her gaze becoming more focused. My words seemed to have calming effect on her. Yes, you're right. I know I was so stupid to fall for it. You probably think I'm ridiculously naive. Not at all. I'll say you react quite reasonable. You started looking for scientific explanation for what you saw, and if those mysterious shadows appear again, I'm at your service. Ghost hunting is my weekend hobby. I winked at her with a slight smile. Mickey's cheeks flushed even deeper, but now there was a shy smile on her face. She started to relax. That's good. Perhaps she'll be more open to talking. After a short pause, I decided to return to the purpose of my visit. Mickey, I would like to talk to you about Evelyn to understand the reasons for what happened to her. Can you tell me what she was like? The girl pondered, absently stroking the spine of the book. Evelyn was always quiet. You know, an introvert to the highest degree. Not that I'm judging, I'm not a beacon of sociability myself. She was good at both academics and sports, everything came easily to her. I could spend weeks preparing for an exam, making hundreds of flashcards from memorization. But Evelyn, she will flip through a textbook during a break between projects and still get the highest grade. In academics I still had a chance to surpass her, but in the pool there was no chance at all. Evelyn was the best. I noticed that Mickey was upset when saying that. Her voice trembled slightly, and her fingers gripped the edge of the table. And Coach Rivers always held her up as an example, like, look at Evelyn, be like Evelyn, why can't you swim like Evelyn? And you know what? I couldn't, no matter how hard I tried. Mickey fell silent, staring into space. Then she sighed and shook her head. It's too hard for me to understand what exactly happened yesterday and why, just like that, you have it all, dream life, and then it's all gone. Mickey definitely suffered from comparison with Evelyn, but could this turn into anger, or was it just sad acknowledgement of someone else's superiority? What about last few days? Did you notice anything unusual? Maybe Evelyn was upset or argued with someone? Actually, something did happen yesterday. She lowered her voice to a whisper, glancing around once more to make sure no one was eavesdropping. Yesterday afternoon, when I was returning to my room, I heard Annie arguing with Evelyn. Well, to be more precise, Annie was yelling at Evelyn. Did you hear what they were talking about? I didn't mean to eavesdrop, no. It's just that I was approaching my room and they were standing in the corridor. I didn't hear the beginning of the conversation, but Annie was saying something about not sticking your nose where it's not wanted. And how did their conversation end? I'm not sure. When I approached her, the girls fell silent and went their separate ways. What time did this happen? About 5, I think. Mickey frowned, adjusting her glass in concentration. Yes, exactly 5. Annie had just finished her swimming practice. When they were talking, she was holding a gym bag and her hair was wet. Interesting. Annie Harper assured me she hadn't spoke to Evelyn at all yesterday, and now it turns out they weren't just talking, they were even arguing. While I was taking notes, Mickey continued in a quiet voice. I probably shouldn't have said that. I don't want to badmouth anyone or cause trouble. It was strange. Don't worry about it. I'm just gathering information. Every little detail, every observation can all be important. Thanks for sharing. Mickey let out a sigh of relief. Did anything else seem strange to you yesterday? Well, it was as usual, all except maybe Sophie Williams. But I guess that's not relevant. Any detail may be relevant. So what about Sophie? I ran into her in the corridor before dinner and asked her a regular question if she was ready for the chemistry test. But she seemed confused and just ran away without saying a word. That was so unlike her. Sophie is usually very friendly and outgoing, even with me. At first glance, Sophie's behavior might not seem related to the investigation, but I still decided to record this information in my notepad. The sharp sound of a door slamming broke the silence of the library. I turned around and noticed that the last of the students had left the room. Only Mickey and I remained in the library, amidst the endless rows of books. Oh, I'm late. She began to pack her things in a flurry, but then stopped, casting a guilty glance at me. But of course, the investigation is much more important. I think Miss Grimm's talk will understand. It's okay, I have no more questions for today. I don't want to cause you trouble with the teacher. With a grateful nod, Mickey hastily began packing her textbooks. She moved so fast that her pencil case slid off the table, scattering its contents. Her glass slipped to the tip of her nose as she bent down for a fallen pen, and at that moment her forehead met with the wooden edge of the table. A muffled thud echoed through the empty library. Ouch! Her cheeks immediately flushed bright red. With one hand, Mickey rubbed her reddened forehead, while with the other, she frantically stuffed the scattered pens and pencils back into her case. The girl mumbled something unintelligible, clearly embarrassed by her own clumsiness. See you later, Mickey. Take care. She froze for a moment, meeting my eyes. Thank you. See you later. Clutching her backpack to her chest, Mickey hurried out of the library, as if afraid she'll say or do something even more awkward. After watching Mickey leave, I lingered in the library just long enough to make the last notes in my notepad. The piece of information I had gathered was slowly coming together. But for further investigation I needed one more important fragment, the autopsy results, which should have already come to Nika. After leaving the library, I headed back to the principal's office. I managed to gather a lot of information throughout the day, but each new fact raised even more questions. I mentally replayed my conversation with the students, trying to find a thread that would tie everything together. We have an interesting picture. Each of those with whom I spoke is hiding something. And the fire in the server room. What a strange coincidence. When I got to the right floor, I heard Nika's muffled voice. She was talking on the phone with someone. The office door was slightly ajar, and I could hear some words. I understand your concern, Mr. Thornton. We are doing everything we can. Okay, I'll wait for your call. I gently knocked on the open door just as Nika hung up. She turned to me and I noticed her wearily rubbing the bridge of her nose. James, fine, come in, have a seat. Any news? I walked into the office and settled into my usual chair opposite her desk. Nika looked exhausted. She clearly had a hard day. I talked with everyone I planned to. There's a lot of information, but so far there are more questions than answers. What about you? I heard you were talking on the phone. That was one of the board members. Everyone's on edge. And news about the fire started to leak, but that's not the most important thing right now. Nika leaned back in her chair and sighed heavily. James, I spoke with the fire department. What happened in the server room was definitely arson. Are you sure? Absolutely. Someone set fire to a waste basket after moving it right next to the servers. Usually that waste basket is off to the side, but someone moved it on purpose. More detailed forensic results will be available tomorrow morning. Maybe we'll find out something else useful. And what does your technician say? Johnson swears he just stepped out to the restroom for a minute. He says he heard the alarm there and didn't even realize exactly where the fire was. Nika stood up and walked to the window, looking out at the darkening school grounds. Besides, Johnson has an alibi. One of our teachers, Miss Evans, confirmed she met him on the way to the restroom shortly before the fire alarm. Don't you think he could have prepared everything in advance, set the fire, then deliberately walk past someone? Nika shook her head. I don't think so. In general, it's unclear why Johnson would commit arson. The risk is high and there's no benefit. And even if someone wanted to bribe him to destroy the records, there are much more reliable and less noticeable ways. I agree. After a fire there is always a chance to recover data, and the technicians should understand that. That's why I think someone waited for Johnson to leave and seized the moment. I thoughtfully tapped my fingers on the armrest of the armchair. Speaking of that recovery, I have a friend who can help. No need, I already arranged everything. I can't entrust that work to Johnson, even though I don't think he's guilty. But I've trusted people promised to help with it, and you're already taking on too much. At that moment, Nika's computer made a familiar notification sound. She turned on to the monitor and noticed how sharply her expression changed. The medical examiner's report just came in. I immediately got up from my chair and walked over to Nika to see the screen. She opened the email and we began to study the document together. Amidst the medical terms and formal phrase, I immediately caught the key points of the report. The ligature mark on the neck is circular instead of the typical oblique line expected hanging due to the tension of the noose. Pre-mortem loss of consciousness established. The pressure was applied externally without the involvement of the body's gravity. Time of death between 10:10 p.m. and 10:40 p.m. Nika slowly leaned back in her chair, her face pale. She reread the report several times as if not believing what she had read. So, it wasn't suicide. Are you holding up? She took a deep breath, trying to compose herself. Yes, I need time to process it. Someone killed Evelyn and then coldly staged it as suicide. If it means the killer is still here at school, walking the same corridors as the students. I start to think that the killer is smiling in my face every morning, that it is one of my students or teachers. James, do you have any theories? Who could have done this? I understand it's only been one day, but maybe you already have some ideas? It's too early to draw specific conclusions. Besides, the fact of murder changed the approach to the case. Now we need to analyze not Evelyn's psychological state, but the motives and opportunities of potential killers. But I need more time. Tomorrow I plan to conduct additional interviews and I point at the computer monitor. And I will also like to see the recovered camera footage if possible. About the footage, my contact promised to be quick. The first recovered file should be ready by tomorrow evening. However, it won't be possible to restore everything. The expert sent me a list of cameras available for work. We need to decide which one to restore first, since each one takes a full day. Nika moved close to the monitor and opened the email with the list of available cameras. Which recording should I ask to restore first? What? It's you that needs... How the fuck? You're probably gonna be able to do all of them. But probably with the one that you choose, the next day you have like questions. I'm gonna say this one. Yesterday's school car is third floor. Sure. Nika turned to the computer and began typing a message, then she looked back at me. By the way, I checked the access control system at main gate. Evelyn hasn't left the school grounds since the beginning of the school year. She paused, frowning. And while checking the system, I noticed something strange. Yesterday at 8 in the evening, Sophie Williams entered the school grounds and then left at 10:30. But there's no data about how she left school during the day. Nor is there data about how she returned after her night walk. Sophie didn't tell me she left school grounds yesterday, and she behaved strange when I asked where she was that evening. But what confuses me even more is this discrepancy in the system. How could Sophie enter school when she was already inside and leave while remaining on the school grounds? Perhaps there was a system glitch? I don't understand either. We have the information that this station is quite reliable. Each exit and entry is automatically recorded and duplicated on the server. I quickly made a note in my notepad. Okay, so let me see here. Sam, we don't know anything, we only know the fact. Yeah, see, it's her that exit. Nika stood up, walked to the window outside, which it was already dark, and exhaled heavily. It's too late outside, perhaps we should continue tomorrow, we still have a lot of work to do. She turned to me. If you don't mind, you can stay here overnight. There's a spare room in the guest wing. Considering the distance to the city and the fact that we need to start early tomorrow, that's a reasonable suggestion. Time is against us. The longer we drag this out, the more chance to kill us to cover the tracks. Then I'll queue to your room. By the way, I've asked for dinner to be brought right there. You haven't eaten anything today. We left the office and walked into the half-empty school corridors. Most of the students were already in their rooms, but occasionally we could come across a late student or a duty teacher. All the way to the room, Nika remained silent, nervously fingering her keys. The news of the murder knocked her down. Besides worrying about the school's reputation, she now also has to ensure that nothing happens to the students. Here we are. We stopped by door 15. Nika unlocked it with a key, which she immediately handed to me. If you need anything, call me. Don't be shy, you have my number. I turned to Nika. Criticized the lack of control, yes. Nika, listen. I gently touched her hand, forcing her to look up. I understand how you feel right now, but I want you to know that we'll find the killer and figure out what happened. I promise you. Nika looked at our hands, then raised her gaze to my face. And if you need to talk, vent, or just not to be alone, I'm here. Anytime. Thank you, really thank you. You know, when I called you this morning, all I could think was about what happened to Evelyn. I had no idea that our meeting would be like this. Yes, despite all these terrible circumstances, I'm glad to see you again. Nika slowly traced the outlines of my knuckles with her finger and squeezed my hand one last time. Good night, James. Good night, Nika. I turned the handle and entered the guest room, closing the door behind me. On the nightstand next to the bed was a tray with dinner, which I had already cooled down. Before I start dinner, I'll make a call to my old friend. Which friend? Andy? He has a lot of friends. I took out my phone and scrolled through my contacts until I found Andy's name. Andy was my old summer camp friend who now works in the information analysis department. Over the years we had helped each other more than once, but every time we worked together I had to put up with constant grumbling and inexhaustible sarcasm. I pressed the call button, leaning against the headboard of the bed, and waited for an answer. After the first ring, I heard a familiar voice in the receiver. Oh, who you have here? James Crofton in the flesh. Let me guess, you finally decided to buy me a beer? His voice sounded cheerful. I could hear him chewing something. He was probably having dinner. Not this time, buddy, but if you help me with something, I owe you one. Oh, sure, you already owe me a couple of Ks. When was the last time you called me just for the kicks? Am I saved in your phone as Andy's problem solver? There was Andy's usual good natural irony in his voice. Todd, you know what? I'm even flattered. It means I'm so good that James Crofton himself calls me when he's in trouble. You're not as irreplaceable as you think. It's just that everyone else is smart enough not to answer calls after work. Ah, that's it. So I'm the last hope of a desperate man. Even better. Andy laughed and I realized his mood had finally improved. Okay, tell me what happened this time. Long story short, I need to look up a couple of people. A few students and a swimming coach. There was a meaningful pause on the other end of the line. I could almost see Andy raising an eyebrow. Then he burst out laughing, so loud that I had to pull the phone away from my ear. You dog, you are on vacation, you are hanging out with some girls and didn't invite me? What kind of friend are you after that? Andy, this is serious business. Nika called me yesterday and asked me to investigate a suicide at the school where she's the principal, which it turns out was a murder. Nika, I've heard that name somewhere. We were together at Bear Cliff. No way, that Nika from camp? The green-haired girl you have been crushing on? That's the one. Holy cow, I thought her contacts were long gone. I remember you going crazy when she disappeared after camp. What a reunion. Be sure to say hi to her from me. I'll let you know as soon as I see her. For now, can you help me with info on the suspects? Andy sighed heavily. I knew the usual whining about risks and difficulties was about to begin. James, but it's not easy to look for information when it's not an official case. You know that digging up information under no legal obligation is risky. If they see me looking for that on people outside of a case, I could get fired. Andy's voice grew more pitiful, a class that he used when he wanted to negotiate better terms. We got a new department now, and he's incredibly meticulous. He checks every request. Andy, please, think of something for old time's sake. I'm critically short on data to figure out what's going on here, and I only have 3 days left. A long pause, I could almost physically feel Andy weighing the pros and cons. You understand that if I get called up to say I did it at your request, right? I understand, and I'm ready to take responsibility. Okay, but for a favor like this, you owe me not just a couple of beers, but a couple of cases. Good beer, not some cheap stuff, and dinner at steakhouse we have been eyeing for so long. Deal, you'll be really be helping out, Andy. Damn, you agreed so quickly. I should have pushed it for more. Well, okay, I'm even curious now about the story you got there. I couldn't help but chuckle, and it was as predictable as a Swiss watch. But to avoid suspicion, I can only check one of the girls per day. I have a friend in their couch who might accidentally stumble upon the necessary information during routine work. You don't have much time, so choose wisely. Who do you need first? First, I would like to know information about. Oh shit. Hmm. Should I go for the coach? I think I'm going for a coach. God, I'll call you tomorrow when I have something. Thanks again. I think the coach can have something. We say goodbye and I put the phone on the nightstand. Talking to Wanda has always lifted my spirits. It was nice to hear his voice and know that there were people I could rely on. I took off my jacket, loosened my tie, sat on the edge of the bed and looked at the cold dinner. I had no appetite, but I needed to eat. Tomorrow was going to be a tough day. I wonder, where will all this lead to me? I'm more in an elite school, fire in several rooms, strange inconsistent testimonies. Someone is working hard to cover their tracks, but every criminal makes a mistake sooner or later. The main thing is not to miss it. And it counts, of course. It's like, it's a case number 1. It even says case number 1, House Academy. So I wonder if there's like plans for more case, you know. It will be interesting. But like, it's a pretty cool one. Like, there's choices that affect like relationships. I wonder what's the point of those relationships. Because there's minors over here, so those relationships could be like for them to tell you more information, so the higher you have a relationship, the better to get information from them. But I wonder, like, I don't think the coach has anything to do with the case, but I think like the friend, you know, could have, because of the way that she talk and everything. Like she say, oh, she had everything like in terms of family, like they passed the time with her and gave her money, right? But it looks like for her, her parents only give money. Is what it looks like. So it could be jealous of the family. But why? If it was the best friend, why would you kill her, right? To take out the place as a fake daughter of the family. I don't know. I don't think her has anything. Yeah, she's for that thing grant. She's the competitive for that, but I don't think she'll kill. This one that is like that rich girl. It could have an affair with her because she had that ick in there. So I wonder. It's hard. Like this one, I don't think so. But it's hard. I don't think the coach and this one, which will remain these three. But I think it's more her than anything else. But yeah, like if you like visual novels, you know these crimes where you need to. Then play as a detective, you know, making questions, at the same time choice that will influence the relationship, but yeah, at the same time you need to be careful of the questions that you do and people to search, you know, because you only have 3 days or something like that, and each day will occupy like for the cameras for the people that will search to that guy Andy, so you need to be careful with that. So but yeah, but if you like games like this, of course you need to like visual novels. You can download them, it's already available, and if you play it and you enjoy it, don't forget to wishlist because it helps the developers and of course the game to get more visibility. So, hope you guys enjoyed, and see you guys next time.